The starship Horizon broke through the cloudy atmosphere of planet Miruk, its metal hull gleaming under the light of two small suns. Dr. Keira Black pressed her face against the viewing window, her heart racing as the alien landscape came into view. Rolling purple hills stretched into the distance, dotted with strange dome-shaped structures that glowed softly in the morning light. "First time off Earth?" asked a deep voice beside her. Keira turned to see Ambassador Tae-Won Kim, the leader of their diplomatic mission. His face was calm, but she noticed how tightly he gripped the armrest. "Third mission, actually," she replied. "But first contact is always special." Taiwan nodded. "The Maruki reached out to us. That's rare. Most species hide when they detect human signals." The ship touched down on a flat landing pad outside what appeared to be the main city. Keira checked her equipment one last time. As the team's xenobiologist, her job was to study the life forms of Miruk, especially the Miruki themselves. The team of 12 humans walked down the ramp into the warm, sweet-smelling air. Keira noticed right away that the gravity was slightly lighter than Earth's. She felt like she could jump twice as high with half the effort. They were greeted by a group of tall, slender beings with light golden fur and large, reflective eyes. The Maruki stood on two legs but moved with a grace that reminded Keira of cats. Their faces were flat with small noses and wide mouths. When they smiled, they showed rows of sharp teeth. A Maruki stepped forward. "Welcome to our world. I am Suho, Chief Speaker for the High Council." His voice had a purring quality that made Kira's skin tingle. Ambassador Kim bowed slightly. "Thank you for inviting us. We hope this meeting will be the start of a lasting friendship between our peoples." Suho's ears flattened slightly. "We hope so too. There are dangers in the dark spaces between stars. Both our worlds have noticed them." Keira felt a chill despite the warm air. The dangers Suho mentioned were the reason for this mission. Strange signals had been detected at the edges of both human and Miruki space. Neither species knew what was causing them, but both felt threatened. The humans were led to a large dome that would be their home during the mission. Inside, the rooms were simple but comfortable, with soft cushions instead of chairs and beds that seemed to float slightly above the floor. "Dr. Black," Suho said, approaching her as the others settled in. "We understand you wish to study our wildlife. We have arranged for one of our scientists to help you." A younger Miruki stepped forward. He was shorter than Suho, with darker fur and bright blue eyes. "This is Hajun," Suho said. "He studies our planet's creatures. He will show you our research center tomorrow." Hajun bowed his head slightly. "It will be my honor to work with you, Dr. Black." After Suho left, Hajun stayed behind, looking at Keira with curious eyes. "You are the first human xenobiologist to visit our world," he said. "I have many questions about Earth's animals." Keira smiled. "And I have many questions about yours. I've only seen images sent by your probes. There is one species I think will interest you greatly," Hajun said, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. "They live in the hills outside the city. We call them the Silence Hunters. They look somewhat like your Earth Pumas." The next morning, Hajun took Keira to the research center, a dome twice the size of the others, filled with screens, strange equipment, and tanks containing small creatures. "Our botanical samples are here," Hajun explained, showing her plants with leaves that changed color when touched. "And our water life is kept in these tanks." Keira marveled at fish-like creatures with 6 fins and transparent bodies that glowed with inner light. "But you promised to show me the Silence Hunters," she reminded him. Hajun's ears twitched. "Yes, we must go to the observation hills. It is a sacred place for my people." They took a small hover vehicle outside the city. As they traveled, the landscape changed from purple hills to dense forests with tall trees bearing spiral-shaped leaves. "Why do you call them Silence Hunters?" Keira asked. "They make no sound when they hunt," Hajun explained. "And they can sense thoughts. Some of my people believe they can see into your soul." The vehicle stopped at the edge of a clearing. Hajun pointed to a small building partially hidden among the trees. That is our observation post. We can watch without disturbing them. Inside the post, one wall was transparent, showing a view of the clearing. Several large animal forms moved through the tall grass. They had sleek bodies covered in golden brown fur, powerful legs, and long tails. Their heads were broader than Earth pumas, with 4 eyes instead of 2. "They're beautiful," Keira whispered. Hajun handed her a device. "This will record their heat patterns and movements. But do not try to approach them yet. They must become used to your scent first." For 3 days, Keira observed the silence hunters. She noticed they moved in groups of 5 or 6, hunting together in ways that showed high intelligence. They used signals with their tails and ears to communicate, and sometimes seemed to know what the others would do before they did it. On the 4th day, something unusual happened. Keira was alone in the observation post when a large silence hunter approached. It was bigger than the others, with darker markings on its face. It walked straight to the transparent wall and looked directly at her. Keira felt a strange sensation, like a gentle touch inside her mind. The creature's 4 eyes blinked slowly, one pair after the other. "Hello there," Keira said softly, knowing it couldn't hear her through the wall. To her shock, the creature's mouth opened in what looked like a smile. It raised one paw and pressed it against the wall where her hand was. Kira's heart pounded. This was not normal animal behavior. This was communication. She quickly activated her recorder and began to speak. "Field notes, Dr. Keira Black, Day 4 on Miruk. One of the silence hunters has approached the observation post. It appears to be trying to communicate with me. I'm naming this individual Nabi after the Korean word for butterfly, because of the butterfly-shaped marking on its forehead." Nabi kept its paw against the wall for several minutes, its eyes never leaving Kira's face. Then it turned and walked away, looking back once before disappearing into the trees. When Hajun returned, Keira showed him the recording. "This is unusual," he said, his ears flat against his head. "The silence hunters rarely approach the observation post." "Do you think it was curious about me?" Keira asked. Hajun looked troubled. "Perhaps, or perhaps it was something else. The silence hunters have always been special to my people. There are old stories." "What stories?" "Just legends," Hajun said quickly. "Not scientific, I will tell you another time. For now, we should report this to both our teams." As they returned to the city, Keira couldn't stop thinking about Nabi's eyes. There had been something in them, something knowing and ancient. And when their minds had touched, she had felt a strange sadness, as if the creature was trying to tell her something important, something that couldn't wait much longer. 3 months passed quickly on planet Miruk. Dr. Keira Black's small room in the human living dome was now covered with charts, sample containers, and digital screens showing data about the silence hunters. Every day she went to the observation post, and almost every day Nabi came to see her. Field notes, day 87. Keira spoke into her recorder. "Nabi showed up at the usual time today. The connection between us is growing stronger. When she puts her paw on the wall, I can feel something in my mind. Not words exactly, but feelings. Images." Keira had started to think of Nabi as female, though she wasn't sure if the silence hunters had the same kind of gender as Earth, animals. But something about this creature felt feminine to her. Hajun entered the observation post carrying food and water. He watched as Nabi walked away into the trees. "You have formed a strong bond with this one," he said quietly. Keira nodded. "There's something special about her. All the silence hunters show high intelligence, but Nabi is different. It's like she's trying to tell me something." Hajun sat down beside her. He looked nervous, his ears twitching. "Dr. Black, Keira, there is something I must tell you. Something about the silence hunters." "What is it?" "They are not just another animal species on our planet." Hajun's voice dropped to a whisper. "They are us." Keira stared at him. "What do you mean?" "The Maruki evolved from the silence hunters. Long ago, we walked on 4 legs and hunted in the forests. But over time, some of us changed. We stood upright. We built cities." He gestured at himself. But the silence hunters are our original form. We keep them sacred. They remember things we have forgotten. Keira's mind raced. This explained so much about the silence hunters' behavior, their intelligence, their complex social structure. Why didn't you tell me this before? Ha-Jun's ears flattened. The High Council ordered us not to share this knowledge with humans. But I think you need to know. Especially now. Now? What's happening now? Ha-Jun looked at the door, then back at Keira. Have you noticed that communications with Earth stopped 3 days ago? Keira froze. She had been so focused on her research that she hadn't checked in with the human base. I thought there might be a technical problem. It is not technical, Ha-Jun said. The High Council ordered all Earth communications jammed. What? Why would they do that? They believe humans may be connected to the threat at the edge of our star systems. The signals we detected, like some council members think they are human in origin. Keira stood up quickly. That's not possible. We came here because we're worried about those signals too. I know. That is why I am helping you. Ha-Jun touched her arm gently. High Speaker Jin-Su is leading this movement against humans. Many Miruki do not agree with him, but we are afraid to speak out. We need to tell Ambassador Kim. Your ambassador and half your team are already under house arrest, Ha-Jun said. They do not know it yet. They think there is a disease outbreak and they must stay inside for safety. Keira felt cold fear spread through her body. What about the rest of our team? They are being watched. You are not because you spend so much time out here, away from the city. Ha-Jun looked out at the forest. And because of your connection with Nabi. What does Nabi have to do with this? The silence hunters sense things we cannot. They have been agitated lately. The elders who still communicate with them say they are warning us of danger, but not from humans. Ha-Jun's voice shook slightly. I think Nabi chose you for a reason. She is trying to tell you something important. Just then, Kira's datapad beeped with an alert. One of her sensors had picked up unusual brainwave patterns from Nabi. Look at this, she said, showing Ha-Jun the screen. These patterns are almost like Miruki patterns. Ha-Jun finished for her. Yes, the silence hunters have similar brains to ours. That is how the mental connection works. Keira thought about the strange sensation she felt when Nabi was near. The touches in her mind, the flashes of images. I need to go outside, she said suddenly. I need to see her without the wall between us. Ha-Jun's eyes widened. That is not safe. The silence hunters are still wild animals. But you just said they're your ancestors. And Nabi has been trying to communicate with me for months. I think she's been asking me to come out there. The legends say that sometimes, very rarely, a silence hunter will choose a Miruki to bond with, to share ancient memories with. Ha-Jun's voice was full of wonder. But there is no record of them choosing a non-Miruki before. Before Keira could respond, there was a sound at the door. It slid open, revealing a human security officer. It was Minho, one of the younger members of their team. Dr. Black, he said urgently, we need to leave now. Minho, what's happening? I overheard the Miruki guards talking. They don't know I understand their language. Minho looked at Ha-Jun suspiciously. They're planning to take you into custody too. Something about your research being dangerous. Ha-Jun stood up. You can trust me, officer. I am trying to help Dr. Black. Minho hesitated, then nodded. We don't have much time. The transport I took will be missed soon. Keira quickly gathered her most important datapads. Where can we go? There is a research outpost in the far hills, Ha-Jun said. Few Miruki. Go there. We could hide and continue your work with Nabi. Minho looked confused. Who is Nabi? Just then, a loud roar came from outside. All three rushed to the window. Nabi stood in the clearing, her 4 eyes fixed on the observation post. Behind her were 5 more silence hunters. She knows something is wrong, Keira whispered. She's here to help us. They hurried outside. Keira approached Nabi slowly, her hand extended. The large creature moved forward until they were face to face. Hello, Nabi, Keira said softly. For the first time, Keira touched the silence hunter's fur. It was soft and warm. As their bodies connected, Keira gasped. The mental touch she had felt before was now a flood of images and feelings. She saw the Maruki city from above, then strange shadow-like shapes moving through the halls of the High Council building. She saw Jinsu, the High Speaker, with something dark and writhing attached to the back of his neck, hidden under his fur. When Keira pulled her hand away, she was shaking. "What is it? What did you see?" Hajun asked. "Jinsu," Keira said, her voice trembling. "He's being controlled by something not from this world. And it's not just him. There are others." Minho looked skeptical. "How could you know that?" "Nabi showed me," Keira said. She turned to Hajun. "Your people aren't turning against humans. Something is making them do it. The same thing that's behind those signals we detected." Hajun's eyes widened. "The ancient threat. The silence hunters have stories about dark beings that come from beyond the stars and take over minds. We thought they were just legends." Keira looked at Nabi, who was watching her intently. "They're not legends," she said, "and Nabi knows how to fight them. That's what she's been trying to tell me all this time." The silence hunter made a soft, rumbling sound, then turned and began walking toward the hills. She stopped, looking back at them. "I think she wants us to follow her," Keira said. As they hurried to the transport vehicle, Keira felt a mix of fear and excitement. The threat was real, but now they knew what it was. And somehow, this connection between her and Nabi might be the key to stopping it. She just hoped they weren't already too late. The sun was setting over the hills of Miruk as Keira, Hajun, and Minho followed Nabi deeper into the wilderness. The transport vehicle had run out of power hours ago, forcing them to continue on foot. 5 more silence hunters moved alongside, them forming a protective circle. "How much farther?" Minho asked, his voice tight with exhaustion. Hajun pointed to a ridge ahead. The old research outpost should be just beyond those rocks. It was built many seasons ago to study the night sky. Keira walked close to Nabi, occasionally touching the creature's fur to maintain their mental connection. With each touch, new images flowed into her mind, glimpses of the parasites that had taken control of Jinsu and other members of the High Council. "They're called the Void Whispers," Keira said suddenly. Hajun looked at her with surprise. "What?" "The parasites. The silence hunters call them the Void Whispers. They come from empty space between galaxies. They've attacked Miruk before, long ago." "How do you know this?" Minho asked, looking skeptical. Keira touched Nabi's shoulder. "She's showing me. The silence hunters remember everything. They pass memories down through generations." As they climbed the ridge, the research outpost came into view. It was a small building made of the same material as the city domes, but weathered by time. The door slid open when Hajun placed his hand on the control panel. Inside, the outpost was dusty but intact. Old screens lined the walls, and a communication system sat on a central table. "Can we contact anyone with this?" Keira asked, gesturing to the equipment. Minho examined the system. "Maybe. But who would we contact? The Maruki will be looking for us, and we can't reach Earth." "We need to contact the other humans," Keira said, "and the Maruki who aren't infected." Hajun turned on the old systems. Lights flickered to life around the room. "We should be able to send secure messages through this," he said. "It runs on a different network than the city systems." While Hajun worked, Keira sat down with her datapad to record her findings. "Field notes, day 88. She began. The situation has become critical. The beings we detected at the edge of our space are parasitic life forms called the Void Whispers. They have infected key members of the Miruki High Council, including High Speaker Jinsu Lee." Minho joined her, his face serious. "We need a plan. We can't just hide here forever." "Nabi knows how to defeat them," Keira said. "The silence hunters fought them off once before, but I'm still trying to understand how." The door to the outpost slid open and all 3 turned in alarm. A tall Maruki female stood there, her fur slightly gray with age. "Jimin," Hajun said with relief. You got my message? The older Maruki entered, followed by two humans, Dr. Sung-min, the medical officer from Kira's team, and Officer Ji-ho, another security member. We came as soon as we could, Jimin said. Her voice was deep and musical. More will join us soon. There are many who do not trust Jinsu's sudden hatred of humans. Dr. Sung-min rushed to Keira. Are you all right? We heard you were being hunted. I'm fine, Keira assured him. But we have bigger problems. The Maruki leadership has been infected by parasitic beings. That's why they turned against us. Jimin nodded gravely. I suspected something was wrong. Jinsu was once a friend of humans. His change was too sudden. As the night deepened, more Maruki and humans arrived at the outpost. Some came by transport, others on foot. By midnight, 23 people had gathered, 11 humans and 12 Maruki. Outside, a large group of silence hunters kept watch. Keira explained what she had learned from Nabi, showing them images on her datapad of the parasites, small, shadow-like creatures that attached to the spine and worked their way into the brain. How do we know who is infected? Asked Officer Ji-ho. The parasites leave a mark, Keira said. A small dark spot at the base of the neck, hidden under fur or hair. That's why they went after the Maruki first. Easier to hide. Dr. Sung-min opened his medical kit. I might be able to create a scanner to detect them, but even if we can identify the infected, how do we remove the parasites without hurting the host? Everyone looked at Keira. She closed her eyes, reaching out mentally to Nabi, who waited just outside the door. The silence hunters know a way, she said slowly. They have a song isn't the right word. A mental frequency that disrupts the parasite's control, but it needs to be very precise and very strong. Jimin stepped forward. I am an elder speaker. I have maintained the old connection with the silence hunters all my life. Perhaps I can help amplify this signal. For the next 3 days, the resistance group worked tirelessly. Dr. Sung-min built scanners from spare parts, testing them on everyone in the outpost to ensure no one was infected. Jimin and Keira spent hours with Nabi, learning how to create and control the mental frequency that could disrupt the parasites. Hajun and Minho set up a secure communication network, contacting trusted Maruki and humans throughout the city. Slowly, they built a map of those who had been infected. It's worse than we thought, Hajun said, showing Keira the map. Nearly a third of the High Council has been taken, and 3 members of your human team as well. Keira studied the map grimly. We need to act soon. The parasites are spreading. On D. The 4th night, as most of the group slept, Keira sat outside with Nabi under the twin moons of Miruk. The mental connection between them had grown stronger each day. I still don't understand why you chose me, Keira whispered, her hand resting on Nabi's head. Why not one of your own people? Images flowed into Kira's mind, strange patterns of neural pathways, first in Nabi's brain, then in Kira's. The patterns were surprisingly similar. My brain? Keira asked in surprise. There's something different about my brain? More images came, humans with normal neural patterns. Then Keira with her unique pathways, similar to the silence hunters. A mutation, Keira realized. I have a rare neural mutation. That's why we can connect so strongly. Nabi made a soft rumbling, sound of confirmation. Footsteps approached, and Keira looked up to see Jimin. You should rest, the older Maruki said gently. Tomorrow will be difficult. I've been thinking about something, Keira said. The silence hunters are immune to the parasites because of their neural pathways, and apparently I share those pathways. Jimin's eyes widened. That is why the bond between you and Nabi is so strong. It is very rare even among my people. Could this be useful? Could my immunity help create a defense for others? Jimin sat beside her. Perhaps. The old stories say that when the void, whispers came before, it was a special bond between a silence hunter and a Maruki that drove them away. Keira looked at Nabi, who was watching her with those 4 intelligent eyes. She's been trying to tell me that all along, Keira whispered. She wasn't just showing me the threat. She was showing me the solution. As dawn broke over the hills, Keira gathered the resistance group inside the outpost. Her face was tired but determined. "We have a plan," she announced. "Tonight, we're going to enter the city and confront Jinsu and the infected council members. Jimin, Nabi, and I will generate the disruptive frequency. The rest of you will help get the uninfected to safety." Minho looked concerned. "It's risky. If the frequency doesn't work, we'll be captured or worse." "It will work," Keira said with confidence. "Nabi has shown me, but there's one more thing you all need to know." She took a deep breath. "The Void Whispers are just scouts. If they succeed in taking over Miruk and Earth, more will come. They've done this to countless worlds before. We're not just fighting for our two species. We're fighting for all life in this part of the galaxy." As the group prepared for their mission, Keira recorded what might be her final field notes. "This could be my last entry," she said softly into her recorder. "If we fail, I hope someone finds this and warns Earth, but I believe we will succeed, humans and Miruki together, with the ancient wisdom of the Silence Hunters to guide us." She looked at Nabi, who sat patiently by the door. "And if anything happens to me, remember, the Puma isn't crying in sadness. She's calling. Calling to all of us to wake up and see the truth before it's too late." Darkness fell over the Miruki city as 3 transport vehicles moved silently through the empty streets. The curfew ordered by Jinsu had cleared the paths, making it easier for the resistance to approach the central dome, where the High Council met. In the lead vehicle, Keira sat between Jimin and Hajun. Nabi rode in the back, her large body barely fitting in the space designed for Miruki passengers. 6 more Silence Hunters followed behind, moving like shadows along the edges of the buildings. "The council will be in session for another hour," Jimin said, checking her data pad. "Most of the infected members should be there." Keira nodded, her heart pounding. The plan they had developed was risky. She, Jimin, and Nabi would enter the council chamber and generate the disruptive frequency, while the others secured the building and evacuated any uninfected Miruki. "Ambassador Kim and the human team are ready," Minho reported from the second vehicle. "Once we break the jamming signal, they'll contact Earth for backup." The vehicles stopped a short distance from the central dome. The resistance group gathered, in the shadows, checking their equipment one last time. "Remember," Keira said to the group, "stun weapons only. The Miruki guards are not our enemies. They're just following orders from infected leaders." Dr. Sungmin handed out small devices to everyone. "These will protect you from the frequency we'll be generating. Keep them close to your bodies." Ji-eun, a young Miruki scientist who had joined them the previous day, approached Keira with a larger device. "This amplifier should help strengthen the frequency," she explained. "Attach it to Nabi's collar." As Keira fitted the device around Nabi's neck, the Silence Hunter pressed her head against Kira's chest in a gesture that felt like both comfort and encouragement. "I know," Keira whispered. "I'm scared too, but we can do this." The group split into 3 teams. Minho led a team to secure the building's perimeter. Hajun took another team to find and disable the communication jammers. Keira, Jimin, and 3 others would head directly to the council chamber with Nabi and 2 of the Silence Hunters. They moved quickly through the service corridors of the central dome, avoiding the main halls where guards patrolled. Jimin's knowledge of the building helped them navigate without being seen. When they reached the upper level, they could hear voices from the council chamber ahead. "They're all there," Jimin whispered after peeking through a small window in the door. "Jinsu is speaking." Keira touched Nabi's fur, seeking that mental connection one more time. Images flowed into her mind. The exact frequency they needed to generate, how to focus it, how to protect themselves from its effects. "Are you ready?" she asked Jimin. The elder Miruki nodded. "I have waited my entire life to serve my people, this way." Keira looked at the others. "Once we begin, we can't stop until all the parasites are disrupted. No matter what happens, keep the frequency going." With a deep breath, Keira opened the door. The council chamber was a large circular room, with raised seats around the edges and a speaking platform in the center. Jinsu stood on the platform, his voice loud and angry as he addressed the council. "The humans must be contained before more arrive. Their signals matched those of the ancient enemy. All heads turned as Keira and her group entered. Jinsu's eyes widened in shock, then narrowed with rage. "Seize them," he shouted to the guards. But before anyone could move, the silence hunters padded into the room behind Keira. Their presence caused immediate confusion. Silence hunters had never entered the city before, let alone the sacred council chamber. "High Speaker Jinsu," Keira called out, her voice steady despite her fear. "You are being controlled by a parasite called a Void Whisper. Many of your council members are also infected. We are here to free you." Jinsu laughed, a cold sound that echoed in the chamber. "Guards, arrest these traitors." The guards moved forward uncertainly, looking at the silence hunters with fear. "Now," Keira said to Jimin. They both placed their hands on Nabi's fur. The amplifier on her collar began to glow with a soft blue light. Keira closed her eyes, focusing her mind on the frequency Nabi had shown her, a complex pattern of mental energy that disrupted the parasite's control. A high-pitched sound filled the room, just at the edge of hearing. Several council members clutched their heads in pain. Jinsu fell to his knees, his hands gripping the back of his neck where the parasite was attached. "Keep going," Keira urged as the strain of maintaining the frequency made her head pound. "It's working." The guards backed away, confused by what was happening. Some of the council members who were not infected ran from the room. Others stayed, watching in shock as their colleagues writhed in pain. Jinsu's body convulsed, and then a small dark shape detached from the back of his neck. It looked like a shadow with tentacles, wriggling as it tried to escape. Other parasites emerged from infected council members, their forms becoming visible as the frequency weakened them. The silence hunters moved with incredible speed, pouncing on the parasites as they appeared and crushing them with powerful jaws. Keira's vision began to blur as the effort of maintaining the frequency drained her energy. She felt Jimin's strength beside her, the elder Maruki's mind joining with hers to amplify the signal. "It's not enough," Jimin gasped. "Some of the parasites are resisting." Keira looked around desperately. Several parasites had escaped the silence hunters, moving toward air vents and small cracks in the walls. "We need more power," she said. At that moment, she felt something change in her connection with Nabi. The mental link between them deepened, becoming more than simple communication. Nabi's consciousness seemed to flow into Keira's mind, merging with her thoughts. With this new combined strength, Keira pushed the frequency higher. The sound in the room became almost painful, even to those without parasites. One by one, the remaining parasites detached from their hosts and fell to the floor, where the silence hunters quickly destroyed them. Jinsu lay on the platform, his body still. Keira worried they were too late to save him, but then he took a shuddering breath and opened his eyes. "What happened?" he asked weakly. Before Keira could answer, the doors to the chamber burst open. Ha-Jun rushed in, his face excited. "We did it! The jammers are disabled. Ambassador Kim is contacting Earth now." Minho followed behind him. "The building is secure. We've identified all the infected and are treating them now." Keira felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had succeeded. The parasites were exposed. The alliance between humans and Maruki could continue, but as she turned to thank Nabi, she noticed something strange. The mental connection between them hadn't faded as it usually did. Instead, it felt stronger than ever, as if the boundaries between their minds were dissolving. "Keira," Jimin asked, noticing her confused expression. "Are you all right?" "I don't know," Keira said slowly. "Something is happening with Nabi and me. Our minds, they're still connected." Jimin's eyes widened. The ancient stories mentioned this. When the bond between a silence hunter and a chosen one becomes strong enough, they can achieve a true merging of consciousness. Merging? Keira touched Nabi's head, feeling the familiar warm fur under her fingers. "You mean our minds would become one?" "It has happened only 3 times in our recorded history," Jimin said. "Each time it created a being of great wisdom who helped guide our people through difficult times." Keira looked into Nabi's 4 eyes and saw understanding there. This was what Nabi had been preparing her for all along. Not just to fight the parasites, but for something much more profound. As the room filled with relieved Mirukian humans celebrating their victory, Keira stood quietly beside Nabi, wondering what this new connection would mean for her future, and for the future of both their species. 3 days after the confrontation in the council chamber, peace had returned to the Miruki city. The infected leaders were recovering, the communication with Earth had been restored, and humans and Miruki were working together again. In a quiet room in the medical center, Keira sat beside Nabi on a large cushion. The mental connection between them had grown stronger each hour, sometimes making it hard for Keira to tell where her thoughts ended and Nabi's began. Ambassador Kim entered the room, followed by Jin-Soo and Ji-min. The high speaker looked tired, but clear-eyed, free from the parasite's influence. Dr. Black, Ambassador Kim said, "Earth Command sends their thanks. Your actions saved both our species." Keira nodded, though the movement felt strange, as if her body was not entirely her own anymore. "The parasites would have taken over both our worlds," she said. "We were lucky to stop them in time." Jin-Soo stepped forward. "I remember everything the parasite made me do. I am deeply sorry for turning against our human friends." "It wasn't your fault," Keira assured him. "The Void Whispers are ancient predators. They've perfected their methods over millions of years. Our scientists have studied the remains of the parasites," Jin-Soo said. "They were sending signals back to their main group at the edge of our star system. If they had succeeded here, more would have come. Billions more." Ji-min sat across from Keira, her eyes moving between the human and the silence hunter. "You have made a decision," she said. It wasn't a question. Keira smiled gently. "Yes. Nabi and I have been talking, thinking together, for days now. We understand what needs to happen." Ambassador Kim looked confused. "What are you talking about?" "The merging," Ji-min explained. "Dr. Black and Nabi have formed a bond that goes beyond simple communication. Their minds are becoming one." "Is that even possible between different species?" the ambassador asked, his face showing concern. "It's already happening," Keira said. "And it's the key to protecting both our worlds from the Void Whispers. The parasites will return someday. We need to be ready." She stroked Nabi's fur, feeling the warm mental presence that now shared her thoughts. "The silence hunters have fought them before. They know how to detect them, how to disrupt them. But that knowledge needs to be shared with both humans and Miruki." Hajun and Dr. Sungmin entered the room carrying equipment. Behind them came Sumin, the human linguist who had become Kira's close friend during the mission. "We've prepared everything as you asked," Hajun said. "But Keira, are you sure about this? The old stories say that once the merging is complete, there is no going back." Keira nodded. "I'm sure. This is why Nabi chose me, why our minds are compatible. Together, we can be the bridge between our species." "What exactly will happen?" Ambassador Kim asked. Ji-min gestured to the equipment. "The device will help complete and stabilize the merging process. Dr. Black's consciousness and Nabi's will become one new being, neither fully human nor fully silence hunter. And this new being will have both Keira's knowledge and the ancient memories of the silence hunters," Hajun added. "It will be able to teach us how to protect ourselves against the parasites." Sumin stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "But Keira, you won't be you anymore. You'll lose yourself." Keira reached out and took her friend's hand. "I won't be lost. I'll be more. Everything I am will still exist, but joined with something ancient and wise, and I'll still remember you, still care about you." "This is a lot to ask of anyone," Ambassador Kim said. "Are you certain this is the only way?" "It's not the only way," Keira admitted. "But it's the best way. Our two species need to unite against the greater threat. What better symbol of that unity than a being who is both human and Miruki?" Jin-Soo bowed deeply to Keira. "The High Council has voted. If this is your choice, we will honor it and welcome the new being you become as an advisor to both our peoples." Keira looked around at the faces of her friends, human, and Miruki. She had come to this world as a scientist, eager to study new life forms. She had never imagined she would become something new herself. "Before we begin," she said, "I want to record my final field notes." Dr. Sungmin handed her a datapad. Kira's fingers moved across it, writing her last words as a fully human being. Field notes of Dr. Keira Black, final entry. "Today I make a choice that few humans have ever faced. I choose to merge my mind with Nabi, to become something new. The Puma is not crying for me. She is calling to me, inviting me to join with her in a bond that will serve both our species." She paused, finding it hard to put her complex feelings into words. "I am not afraid. In these past months, I have felt Nabi's mind touching mine. I know her wisdom, her kindness, her ancient memories. Together, we will be more than either of us could be alone. To anyone who reads this, do not mourn me. I am not dying. I am transforming. The being that emerges will still carry all that I was, along with all that Nabi is. And together, we will help protect Earth and Miruk from the darkness between the stars." Keira set down the datapad and looked at Dr. Sungmin. "We're ready." The medical team moved around her and Nabi, attaching small sensors to both their bodies. The device hummed to life, creating a field of energy that would help stabilize the merging process. "It will take about an hour," Dr. Sungmin explained to the others. "We should give them privacy." As the room emptied, Sumin lingered by the door. "I'll miss you, Keira," she said softly. "You won't have to," Keira replied with a smile. "I'll still be here. Just more." When everyone had gone, Keira lay down beside Nabi, their bodies touching. The mental connection between them opened fully, and Keira felt herself flowing into Nabi as Nabi flowed into her. She saw the history of the Silence Hunters, their evolution, their battles with the Void Whispers, their decision to share their world with their evolved cousins, the Miryuki. She felt Nabi's joy at finding a human whose mind was compatible, whose neural pathways matched her own in a rare genetic coincidence. And Nabi experienced Kira's memories, childhood on Earth, years of study, the wonder of discovering new worlds and new life forms. The Silence Hunter felt Kira's love for knowledge, her courage in facing the unknown. Slowly, the boundaries between them faded. Thoughts merged, memories combined. The body of the human and the body of the Silence Hunter remained separate, but the mind that controlled them became one. 1 month later, a delegation from Earth arrived on Miruk to formalize the alliance between humans and Miruki. They were led to a garden where a strange pair waited, a human woman and a Silence Hunter sitting side by side. When the leader of the delegation approached, both Keira and Nabi turned to face him, their movements perfectly synchronized. "Welcome to Miruk," they said in Kira's voice. "We are glad you have come." "Dr. Black?" the leader asked uncertainly. The human form smiled. "Yes and no. I am Keira Nabi now. 2 bodies, 1 mind." The leader looked confused, but Ambassador Kim stepped forward to explain. "This is our greatest achievement, the living symbol of the bond between our species. Keira Nabi has the knowledge of both worlds, the science of humans and the ancient wisdom of the Silence Hunters." In the months that followed, more humans with the rare neural mutation were found. Some chose to follow Kira's path, merging with Silence Hunters to create a new hybrid consciousness. Others served as translators, helping humans and Miruki work together. Earth and Miruk built defenses against the Void Whispers, preparing for their return. Ships with special sensors patrolled the edges of both star systems, watching for signs of the parasites. And at the center of it all was Keira Nabi, neither fully human nor fully Silence Hunter, but something new and wonderful, a bridge between worlds, a guardian against the darkness and living proof that different species could become more than the sum of their parts. In the quiet evenings, the human form would sometimes take out Kira's old datapad and read her final entry. The words remained true. The Puma had not been crying in sadness. She had been calling to a kindred spirit across the gulf of evolution and space, offering a chance to become something greater. Together, and Keira had answered.